So welcome everybody to today's activity. We're happy to have you. Today we have the luck to receive Matt Del Vecchio and Stefanie Cadou, which will be hosting us in an activity about different tips and tricks to use to downsize as a senior. Did I get that right?
Maybe you'll have to edit it. Trends and senior living trends.
Thank you very much. I knew you would say it better than me. So today, Matt Del Vecchio. So Matt is the owner of Liana Service, retirement home search and transition support. He's also host to a weekly radio show called Life Unrehearsed on CGAD 800 in Montreal. So I encourage you to listen to it. He's a certified professional consultant on aging, and he is also a columnist in the Suburban and their senior and aging specialist. We also have Stefanie Cadou. Stefanie is a residential real estate broker with Royal LePage Village. Her specialty is senior in transition, holding a senior real estate specialist certification. She was also recipient of the Royal LePage Platinum Award, recognizing the 5 top % brokers in Quebec. So a good job on that. Stephanie works closely with families through the process of downsizing, moving, and maximizing the value of sales in their family home, especially right now with everything we're seeing on the real estate market. It's a booming market and a big time for moving. So together they have been featured on Global Television, BNN, CGAD, and the Montreal Gazette to discuss the ever-evolving trend of senior and transition. So without further ado, I will leave you in the hand of Matt and Stefanie.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Well, thank you. We have a nice intimate group here, so it's quite good. We actually don't mind the smaller groups, and we could ask a lot of questions. I'm going to share. I'm going to share a screen here, and we'll get to the presentation here.
Full screen.
There we go. I'm hoping everyone can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. So you got our little introduction. Not only are we partners in business, but we're partners in life as well. We're a husband and wife team. And
for better or for worse.
For better or for worse. The kids are all out of the house except our big kid, the 120-pound Great Danes in the background here. So we're hoping the mailman doesn't show up or anything during. He might chime in during the presentation. But thank you for taking a little time. We won't be terribly long. I'm going to show you a little bit of an agenda. I just want to kick it off by saying, as it was mentioned, I have a weekly radio show on CJAD called Life Unrehearsed, and we talk about all sorts of subjects, about everything from seniors to kids, and it's all about, look, life is planned, but certainly we all get hit with curveballs, and it's how we deal with that. And so every week we have different guests talking about all issues and try to bring in experts. And one of the shows, Stefanie was actually a guest on the show talking about this very subject. And to this day, it's one of the highest rating shows that we did for our segment. So we get a lot of demand for this type of conversation, this type of discussion. And we've sort of turned this into some webinars, and a lot of it done by Zoom. Normally, we like to do it in person. We presented to the city of Beaconsfield before. Very proud to be Beaconsfield residents ourselves. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about some of the downsizing trends and concerns of individuals. What are senior living options out there? Stefanie is going to take over with some really interesting real estate stats. I think if you're from Beaconsfield, you'll be happy about what you're going to see.
Very.
And she's going to talk about some downsizing and moving tips and how to maximize the sale of your home. And at the end, we're going to have some Q&A, okay? All right. We've probably seen all the stats, but the demographics are real. The next 20 years, we'll see the fastest growth of our population aged 65 and over. And it's amazing, as the population ages, our needs change. The family home, all of a sudden, we're empty nesters, and that is just becoming more and more prevalent. And as a result, couples, families, individuals are having some tough, interesting conversations as to, okay, what is the next step for us? So what we do is, I'm just going to lower this right here so we can see the title. What are people saying? The calls that we're getting today, what are the options? And we tend to get these types of calls. Nope, we're staying put. We're going to stay in our home. We like it. We like our garden, and we'd like to kind of see what's out there, but no intention of moving. Completely normal, and get that a lot. Other calls we're getting, you know what? When is this real estate bubble going to burst? And maybe it is time to cash in on our investment if you're a homeowner. And it might be time to downsize. And downsize could mean from going from a bigger family home to a smaller home, like a townhome, or to a condo or apartment, and into a retirement community, a retirement home. And we're going to kind of address all of those. And another call that we get very often is it's mainly because there's been some healthcare issues. And taking care of the home is just too much. The roof needs repairing. There's leaks, and
the stairs are an issue.
Stairs are becoming an issue, and so people are looking at their options. And this is why this presentation is going to try to address all of those concerns. All right, let's just see if this is going to advance. No, give me a second here. Maybe I do have to raise it up. Doesn't want to advance. Good old technology. Give me 1 second here. Just frozen.
Our apologies.
Yeah. I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to go try this again, okay? Bear with us, especially now that it's being recorded, of course. Let's see if that works.
There's editing, he mentioned.
Yes. Still doesn't want to go. We're going to go here for a sec. Bear with us. Ah, that worked there.
Right.
We're going to try this one more time. There we go.
Okay.
All right, we're back. Okay, so we're going to reduce that. Is it time for a senior's residence? And a lot of people are asking that question. It may be yes, it may be maybe, but I need to know a little bit more. So, you know what? It's doing the same thing. So I think this has to stay up here. Yeah, we're going to have to move this. Apologize. We're going to have to do exactly what we did here. And we're going to share our screen.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, we're back on track. So let's define this. Seniors residence is a very broad term. With the pandemic, it almost becomes a scary word. And just on that point alone, it's amazing. We got some stats yesterday, and in Quebec, as of yesterday, there are 0 cases of COVID in the entire province in every CHSLD. There's over 44,000 people living in them and not a single case. There are a couple of cases in retirement homes, but in all, there's almost 200,000 people living in retirement homes or CHSLDs, and we're talking in all maybe just a couple cases, which is even better than, much better than the general population. So things are absolutely improving. However, taking it a bit further, to define them, it's generally grouped into 2 categories. There's RPAs, we would know this as retirement homes. So that would be either independent living, assisted living, or memory care, those that are specializing in issues like dementia and Alzheimer's. And there are RPAs, retirement homes, that specialize in all 3 of them. We've heard a lot about CHSLDs. CHSLD is a French acronym, Centre d'hébergement de soins de longue durée. It is long-term care. You and I would know that as nursing homes. And the general rule of thumb is once you require more than 3 hours of daily care, this would be things like assistance with dressing, getting out of bed, maybe even assistance with feeding, certainly bathing. Now we're into nursing home. In Quebec, there are these two types. There are many more living in retirement homes than CHSLDs. In fact, Quebec is one of the leaders in the country. Now, some of the concerns we mentioned before, home maintenance. Okay, we could deal it with when you're younger. When we're older, it becomes more of a burden. So this is a concern of many. Physical and mobility challenges, Stefanie and I talked about that, where we get that a lot in our world, where stairs are becoming more difficult. Getting in and out of a bathtub is challenging. And so mobility issues start to become more of a problem for people living in their homes. A tougher one is where there's cognitive challenges. Physically might be okay, but there might be some onset dementia or Alzheimer's, and that will inevitably get progressively worse. The decline will increase. So we get a lot of those types of calls. This is a biggie, caregiver stress, where it might be a couple where a husband is taking care of his wife or vice versa. Or the adult children are coming in to help mom or coming in to help dad, but now with the pandemic ending and more people going back to work, they don't have as much time. So we're getting a lot of those types of calls about caregiver stress. Loneliness, one of the biggest factors of why seniors residences are so popular is because of this factor right here. From a social stimulation perspective, which you're not getting at home or in your condo, you do get a lot of that in the residences. And probably the biggest factor of why there's a trend of people moving into seniors residences is because of convenience and simplicity. There's that social life in the top left-hand corner. Meals, you have access to a dining room if you want. There's tons of activities, lots of exercise rooms, and you don't have to participate in any of these or just some of these. That's one of the big benefits. It's the best of both worlds. Your autonomy, yet taking advantage of some things that are there. Usually there's dépanneurs and pharmacies, usually nurse and doctor on site. Nurses are usually full-time. Doctors come in and do weekly or bi-weekly visits. Many residents in seniors residences or retirement homes will switch their GP to the resident doctor. And if there's challenges with medications, medication management is absolutely huge, particularly for those suffering some cognitive issues. You want to make sure you're taking pills at the right time in the right quantities. So that's all offered through senior communities, and a big reason why they have become so popular. All right, so that is just about the senior living industry. Stefanie's going to take over with a lot more interesting statistics here about the real estate market.
Thank you. So we've been saying that Montreal is a vendor's market since 2007, but quite frankly, no one was expecting what happened in 2021. Already 2020 was a huge year, but people were afraid that with the pandemic, the market would start to slow down. Well, it's exactly the opposite that happened, because the first trimester of 2021 blew everybody's mind. Professionals, vendors, and buyers. So we're going to start with stats of West Island South, which includes Beaconsfield. It's Dorval, Pointe-Claire, Beaconsfield, Baie-d'Urfé, Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue, and Sainte-Ville. We're going to look at the past 12 months. So single family unit sales went up by 4%, when active listings went down by 27%. That's clearly a big vendor's market. Median price went up 24% to $692,000, and the median price in the past 5 years increased by 71%. Condos, it's the same. Unit sales went up by 17%. Active listings went up by 34% because there's new constructions. Median price went up by 28% to $398,500. And median price in the past 5 years have went up by 57%. Now, we're going to look specifically at Beaconsfield because it's it's almost madness at this point. We're going to look at what happened from January 1st to May 31st, 2021 versus 2020, just for Beaconsfield. So unit sales in single family homes have gone up 69%, 108 sales this year versus 64 in 2020 during the pandemic. Remember that there were times, a period of a few months that we were not allowed to physically visit houses. We were not allowed to work. So some houses sold by virtual tours, digital pictures and so on, but not everybody is keen on proceeding like that. So that's why the sales were so low in 2020. Active listings are up 2%. We have 124 listings versus 122 in 2020. Median price went up to $910,500. That's an increase in 1 year of 30%. So the pandemic did not affect the value of your house. On the contrary, condos unit sales have been up 137% because we have 19 sales this year versus 8 last year. Active listings are down 53%. So 14 listings this year versus 30 last year. Median price went up by 34% to $477,000. We are all house rich in Beaconsfield. That's what I can say. Now, the trick for downsizing, and downsizing is very often a big issue. It's the elephant in the room. We know it's there. We don't want to see it. Why? Because it's not pleasant. However, it's an absolute necessity, and you should really do it when you physically have the strength to do it. Why less is more? Because when a buyer walks into your house, he's buying your house. He's not buying your possessions. So if there's too much clutter in the property, he doesn't see the house. He sees your stuff. Start early. Start early. Why? Because it's a process that takes time and you don't want to be rushed into it. And as I mentioned, you want to be healthy enough to be able to do it. Very often, people don't want to deal with downsizing and they wait too long to the point where they need professional help to proceed with getting rid of their belongings. The 6-month rule. Now, obviously, if you plan on spending a couple of years more in your house, don't get rid of your winter equipment because we're in Canada. However, it's important to go around your property on a regular basis and question yourself, opening drawers, opening cupboards. Have I used this in the past 6 months? Muffin tins, do you need to have 5? Do you even still bake muffins now that the kids are gone? So the 6-month rule, if you haven't used something for 6 months, question yourself if you really need it. 1 room at a time. Very important to proceed 1 room at a time to avoid chaos. And start with the rooms you use the least. For instance, the garage, the basement, the guest bedroom, an office. And you make 3 piles. Very important. Yes, I'm adamant. No, maybe I'm not sure. We'll get back to it. And the no pile. And the no pile has to get out of the house immediately. Why? Because your husband will come and snoop and put certain things back in the yes pile. And you'll be back to square one. So the no pile has to go. Where can it all go? Well, donations to family members, and think extended family, can organize garage sales and estate sales. Now, you won't become rich from that, but you'll get rid of a lot of stuff. Then there's donations. Organizations such as Nova West Island, Renaissance, Women's Shelter, etc., etc. And what you cannot give, what you cannot sell, what you're not keeping, just discard it, get rid of it. Maximizing the value of your house. There is a way to really get the big bucks for your house, but it needs time. You have to get prepared. Number 1, clean. Even if a house is dated, If it's clean, it looks well maintained. So clean everything, even things that we don't think about, such as light switches, the stuff that we touch on a regular basis. The buyer's eye will see that. Grout that's professionally cleaned with an acidic solution turns back to white. And that is a miracle. Neutralize goes back to decluttering. We have to neutralize because the buyer has to imagine his belongings in your walls. So if you have a decor that's really strong, it may not be the best way for the buyer to imagine. So we have to feed them. We have to neutralize colors, neutralize the decor, less family pictures, neutralize the smell. Very, very important. Repair. Now, I always get questions, Steph, should I renovate to get more dollars for my house? Not necessarily, because nothing guarantees that your renovation is what the buyer had in mind. So he may offer less to renovate your renovation. However, maintenance is key. So think of maintenance as the not fun expenses, the not glamorous one, like a foundation crack, a roof. Paying for a new roof is not pleasant. However, it's an absolute necessity. So maintenance will prevent your price from going down. Curb appeal. Pay as much attention to the outside of your home as you do to the inside. It's a nice lawn, flowers, shovel the snow in the driveway and the alley during winter months. And one thing that I'm a strong believer in, and my sellers get on board with me on this, is a pre-sale inspection. Let me explain. When we sign a contract to sell your house, we also fill out and sign a declaration of the seller. That's a 6-page document where you disclose everything you know about your house. But you may have been in your house for 30 years and not remember everything. And there may be things in your house that you're not aware of. If you do a pre-sale inspection with a building inspector, he will provide you with a report of 60 to 80 pages, plenty of pictures, that explains exactly what condition your house is in. If you join this inspection report to the declaration of the seller, you disclose everything about your house to the buyer. That increases the buyer's trust. Plus, you don't want a buyer to tell you about the condition of your house. You want to tell him, because what you disclose cannot be renegotiated in dollars. So let's say that you do the inspection, fill out the declaration of the seller, you disclose there's 3 foundation cracks. The buyer is still allowed to do his own inspection, pre-purchase inspection. He finds the 3 foundation cracks. He wants a discount on the house to repair those cracks. Guess what? He's not getting a penny because you disclosed it. So as long as you disclose in real estate, you don't have to repair, just disclose, you're protected. Another way to protect you, on one stage of our lives, we don't want any trouble. We don't want any responsibilities. And if you sell your house, you surely don't want the buyer to come back 10 years later with a latent defect. The way to protect you in Quebec is to have a mention in your contract. It's going to be in the listing and it's going to be in the deed of sale that this property is sold without legal warranty of quality at the buyer's risk. What does that mean? That means he's buying as is. So if you do this, sale without legal warranty of quality at the buyer's risk, you're telling him legally that he's buying it as is. Plus, you've done the pre-sale inspection and filled out the declaration of the seller. You disclose everything. It shows good faith. In a court of law, you'll never have a problem with that.
And the reason for that, if you don't, is the last line.
Yes, well, because in Quebec, the civil code says that we are responsible for the quality of what we're selling. So if you don't have this mention that it's sold without legal warranty of quality, 10 years from now, should a buyer find hidden defect, for instance, they decide to open up a wall to get a bigger kitchen and they find all sorts of mold, okay? That's a hidden defect. You're liable. You're responsible for what you sold.
Even 10 years down the road.
Even 10 years. They have
And
to,
if we're not around and we passed away, can they come after the kids?
they can come after the estate. What happens is that a hidden defect is considered is a defect that was present, that existed at the time of the sale, that was not known to anyone, but that would have affected the price the purchasers paid for the house, or they would not have purchased the house altogether. That's a hidden defect. The only way to protect yourself is to add the sale without legal warranty of quality clause.